Unfiltered, uncensored, and unapologetic. This is the Retail Warzone podcast.
My name is Steve. I'm here with my co-host, The Irish Connection. And tonight is a little bit of a rant on a couple of topics. One that Blame Tag personally requested, so we're going to get into that too. But this week, there was an article that was posted on Bloomberg. Now, full disclosure, I don't have a problem with the article. Okay, the article's fine. We'll get into the meat and potatoes as to what my issue is with it. But having said that, we'll get started. So let me pull this up here. Where'd it go? Here we go. So this is from Bloomberg, the big take. U.S. retail workers are fed up and quitting at record rates. The job is more complicated than ever and increasingly not worth the low pay. To be a U.S. retail worker in 2023 means fielding an onslaught of growing American anxieties about everything from high prices to politics. Increasingly, some workers say the job isn't worth the wages. Yeah. Low pay, erratic schedules, and monotonous tasks have long been a challenge for the nearly 8 million Americans working in retail. But the pandemic years have added a host of taxing new duties. Employees must cope with an uptick in shoplifting and customer, what is that? Orneriness? Yeah. So customer rudeness. They manage online orders and run up and down the aisles to unlock items as, something as simple as toothpaste. Now, in 2022, the McKinsey study found that the quit rate for retail workers is more than 70% higher than in any other U.S. industry. Yeah. And the COVID years made the problem worse. Before 2020, turnover for part-time retail employees who make up the bulk of in-store workforce hovered around 75%. According to data from Korn Ferry. Since then, it's shot up to 95% and hasn't budged, which has times led to understaffed stores. I really want to call out there that it's not as much about people quitting for understaffed stores as the mantra is, employees are more than a controllable expense. And that's a large part of the understaffing, too, is payroll cuts. So let's go ahead and make sure that people are aware of that. The declining worker experience follows a tough decade for retailers. Stores that survived the retail apocalypse have had to find ways to cut costs and boost profits with fewer shoppers. For many, particularly small brands, that has meant reducing headcount or finding other ways to bring in money. Physical locations increasingly double as returns and logistics centers as companies build out hybrid online and offline services. The early years of the pandemic brought a slight respite as people stuck at home and spent their time and stimulus checks on online shopping, but that quickly gave way to supply chain issues, the snarled inventories, and the era of high inflation. Much of this isn't unique to the U.S. Retailers all over have struggled to adapt to new shopping habits and ebbs and flows in the economy. Cost of living crises have led to reported rises in abusive shoppers and crime in the UK, Hong Kong, Australia, and New Zealand. Staff are unhappy. A recent survey of managers in the UK found absences on the rise. But U.S. workers tend to have fewer job protections and benefits and less leverage to improve their working conditions. Once again, the leader of the free world, the capitalist utopia, we're the ones with less leverage. Go figure. To hear rank and file retail employees tell it, working conditions started to deteriorate when they returned to the job after mandatory COVID lockdowns. Customers didn't particularly like being told to wear masks or forego free samples, but as health and safety protocols eased, tensions did not. We'll get into that too. Nearly 4 out of 5 companies have seen a rise in guest-on associate violence over the last 5 years. Large retailers say their annual apprehension of shoplifters climbed by more than 50% in 2022. And some of the stores here, Dick's Sporting Goods, Nordstrom, and Dollar Tree all played up theft in their recent investor calls. Dollar Tree, that's a whole nother story. And Blank Stares will be on with us in a few weeks to talk about her exit from Dollar Tree. So that'll be great. And then it says, many retailers are concerned about safety. I don't see it, but there's a nice little chart here. The percentage of retailers surveyed that say dealing with violence and crime have become more of a priority compared to 5 years ago. Guest on associate violence, 77.6%. Organized retail crime, 70%. Mass violence, active assailants, 57.9. Internal theft, 56.9. Gun violence, 52.6. Gift card fraud, 50. Return fraud, 37.9. Now, they go on to talk about how this one individual went to a new company and she was provided with de-escalation training. Now, if you're providing an employee who is most likely an hourly employee that doesn't carry keys, de-escalation training, yes, that's kind of good. But at the same time, the training needs to be get a manager over and remove that hourly associate from the situation, period. End of story. Don't care what the article says. Don't care what the stats are. They're not paid to put up with that. There's people in power that need to go handle it. But Patrick Fennell, an assistant professor at marketing at Kennesaw State University, has found that less than 65% of lower-level employees have received such instruction. That compares to 82% of managers. There again, too, the training's not there anyway. So stop it. Just stop it. It says the majority of the folks we talked to were in the lower levels. They were not really familiar with how to adequately handle these situations. Step one, call a manager. Sorry. That's what they get paid for. Workers, for their part, are conflicted about their role. A 2023 study of frontline retail workers co-authored by Fennell found that 89% have negative feelings about stepping in when customers are behaving badly. Of course they do, because nobody wants to get shot. And, Adam Ryan, who was on here from Target Workers Unite, his quote was, that's kind of like the basic cardinal rule. The customer's always right, and don't upset them. Otherwise, you're going to have trouble with your management, even if you know it's not your fault. And that is correct. All right. And then finally, they go over wages a little bit. It says, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 5% of retail employees were represented by a union in 2022. All right. So the case here they're making is retail is not as unionized as other business sectors. That's a much smaller share than in many European countries where wages are higher and retail workers are more likely to have health insurance. Yet, as their working conditions grow more difficult, U.S. retail employees are warming to the idea of union representation. The pandemic opened people's eyes, says the RWDSU's Applebaum. It's never easy, but people feel that organizing is more necessary now than they realized before in order to protect themselves at work. And this says retail wages are rising slightly faster than those in other industries, but retail employees still get paid a lot less than the median U.S. worker. From 2006 to 2022, the median wage for retail salespeople rose 55%, while U.S. workers overall saw a 52% gain. Since 2019, retail wages are up 21%, compared with a gain of 16% overall. It has the chart showing the retail wages. What's really funny is when you look at the hourly rate, there ain't many out there paying $20 an hour. Definitely. And, if you look at the median hourly wage for retail, it's still below 15. It is still below 15. That's about the halfway mark. So you're looking at like $12.50, somewhere around there, 13. It's not enough. And it says, still, inflation has eaten a lot of that away, leaving workers questioning whether it's worth it to deal with such headaches when they're only making minimum wage. Yeah. So that's the thing. And like I said, I want to go ahead and say, I don't have a problem with the article. Okay. I think the article was well written and it covered a lot of things, but as I was telling Irish and as I posted on Twitter, we've been covering this for 3 fucking years now. Why is a reputable, source of information, of journalistic integrity, just covering it now? What was it, the slow news week? Did Elon not do something stupid enough? Are we tired of talking about the presidential campaign or whatnot? Sure, it was factual, and there's a lot of truth to there. But why now? Why we've been talking about this shit for 3 years, and even before that, there were others that were talking about it. Why is it important now? I mean, are we lacking on clicks? So, having said that, Iris, give me your take.
Well, like you, I thought the article for once it was good to see one that was focused on retail. We hear and see a lot of these clickbait headlines that talk about the kind of nobody wants to work anymore mantra, but it's usually not specific to retail. So it was good to see it backed up with some stats that appear to be at least reliable. What I'll say is that there was one stat that jumped out there that before the pandemic, it was 75% of the turnover rate was 75% for part-time employees. Now, presumably they're talking about, in a 12-month period. It's not clear there, and that jumped up to 95%. Well, like that is a damning statement. Like if you have a 95% failure rate to hold on to employees, you're the fucking problem. It's just crazy. The fact that it jumped from 75 to 95% post-pandemic, like, I don't think that retail is that different post-pandemic necessarily. I mean, there are some small differences, but mostly it's wages. I would suspect that it just tipped people over the edge. It's no longer worth putting up with what you have to put up with, and people are jumping ship more often. And the other thing that the article mentioned, it was about unionization. I think this is where we're in this kind of perpetual problem where it's very hard to unionize people who don't plan to stick around. Yeah. When they're in a place and it's just hell, and they're like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to get, the first opportunity I get to get out of here, I'm gone. It's hard to unionize people like that. Like, you're only going to unionize if you're invested in your tenure, if you're going to stick around. Now, I don't know how the fuck you solve that, but yeah, you're right. It's a curious kind of time. If this came out in the middle of when we were just recovering from the pandemic, this is well post-pandemic at this point. It's a bit unusual. I don't really see a direct connection to anything else that they were talking about. But look, just generally speaking, I would say now that it appears to be significantly worse in the States, some of those stats. I know I don't have the stats myself for Ireland, but I can tell you it's not as high as 75 to 95% staff turnover for part-timers. Right. It's not that. It's so you guys have some. I would suspect that it pays proportionately worse over there, I would imagine, for the quality of life you get for working retail, as we've discussed before.
Correct. And
as well as that, you have some unique problems that I wouldn't have over here. Like some of your urban centers, I've been to many of them. Some of your urban centers are suffering from shit that we don't have at the moment. Like I don't want to be ever having to deal with crackheads at the scale that you guys are. That's really, and you guys, some of them are armed. We don't really have that problem either,
Must be nice.
Yeah, well, look, I don't want to derail the conversation into something we don't want to discuss here, but it's just one of those things that it's a problem that you guys have that we don't, and it has to be factored into the fact of why you might have a 95% dropout rate in a job.
Right. Real quick, Philly Essential, we're saying hi to the Solar speakers. Welcome. Real quick, I want to go through the chat. We had a lot come through. Irish. Let's see here. Hybrid says they cut payroll at my company while doing resets for the season. Oh, yeah. That's not a quit rate thing. That's a controllable expense thing right there. And that makes no sense. But then again, most of what happens this time of year in retail makes 0 sense, period. Let's see. Blame Tag says, for sure, our issue is scheduling. People are willing to work. The hours aren't there. Once again, payroll budgets. And that's where articles like this lose some credibility, because I think overall, especially if you've been in this business for a long time, there is this weird thing that goes on right before you go into Q4, where the workload's extremely high to prepare for Q4, but they reduce your payroll. It is the most bizarre thing. It makes 0 sense. You should have more bodies, probably starting, September 1st, and then some crazy instances like Jesus's Craft Store, where you're setting up Christmas trees the first week of August. You need payroll for that shit. Putting together Christmas trees, it isn't fast. You need people to do that. So, Hero says, many retailers are concerned with being sued for violence. That's true. It's not about the employees. It's about the company image. That's the other thing. You can wrap it however you want. It's more about a PR nightmare than anything. And I hate to say that. It just is. Hybrid says, in Greenville had like 4 suitcases full of stuff attempted to be taken out the back emergency door, but the woman walked right behind the building at the hotel and got caught. Yeah, that's where we're at. People going out, going through stockroom doors, and looking for fire exits and stuff. That happened to me at Dollar Tree. I mean, think about that. You're desperate enough to steal from Dollar Tree and go through the back door. I mean, it's insane. TM Lynn says, sorry, I'm late. Hope I didn't miss much. Nope, you didn't. We just kind of hanging. Hero says, people feel it's a great idea to get PTO for being out sick after going through a worldwide pandemic. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. If you take your PTO. Blame Tag says, reputable is a stretch of Bloomberg. Yes, I get that and I understand. But in the grand scheme of things, it's up there with like Reuters and stuff like that. So, and like I said, I give them credit for reporting on it. I don't have a problem with the reporting. The reporting was fine. I really do. I mean, it's just why now? I mean, it seems kind of suspect. To me, it just seems like they needed a story. And, there's so much more you can do, with retail. I mean, whether it be a documentary, whether it be, a major publication really taking time to dig in. Because, I mean, look, we're nobody, right? We've had, labor attorneys. We've had a senator. We've had people talk anonymously about the jobs they've been in, all these different things, right? And, if we're able to, not monetizing any of this, take our time to do the research and field these kind of things, why can't a major, publication do the same? Real quick, the Serving Times is still the sponsor of the Retail War Zone, and I'm proud to announce that the Serving Times has a Substack, and Blame Tag, the link to the Substack is going to be in the description of the video as well. It's already there. Check it out. So more places to get top-notch Blame Tag reporting. So there. Let's see. Hybrid says customers are also ignorant when it comes to employee wages. They think my company pays $15 for regular employees. They only get paid $10. Look, the general consumer don't know shit about what we're making. They think they do. And they're more concerned with the fact of they think that because in their idea, they think we're making $15 an hour. That's the reason their groceries are too high. And why the hell are they paying people all this money and they have to use self-checkouts? That's what it is. Fuck the consumer on what they think about our wages. They have no clue. They're always going to think that it's getting passed down to them somehow, some way. That's all. That's just what happens. You're never going to see on a daily basis a consumer walking to your location, ask how much you're making and say, oh, you should be making more. It's never going to happen. They don't care. They just don't. Let's see. TM Lynn says, at my store, we start people around 15, one of the top paying non-factor places in my city. We are a nonprofit. That's great. That is really, really good. Blame Tech says, I wonder if it's just an article they were sitting on for a while, needed to put something out. Can't imagine. Like you said, the normal Elon did what? Exactly. Hero says, hire, but don't have any payroll for them. Yeah, we're going to hire you. We don't care what the sign says. You get 5 to 10 hours a week. Thank you for playing. And Mel says, at least they didn't use the term unskilled worker. We're going to get into that too. TM Lynn says, people complain when employers limit PTO maximum. If your employer does and is not an insane high number, they are encouraging you to take it. Yes, Blaine Tank says, new content next week. And Philly says, the general customer does not give a shit. That is correct. They do not. And Blame Tag says, customers are allowed to have opinions on lots of things about our stores. Employee wages are not one of them. Correct. So, yeah. I mean, and like I said, I'm okay with the reporting. Now, going on the unskilled labor thing, I know there was a little dust up on X, Twitter, whatever the fuck it's called now, with Blame Tag, Mel, myself, and Grayson Kent. And it was unfortunate what happened with Grayson, and I understand. But what's really interesting is, I tried to have a conversation and I was asked my opinion on unskilled labor, etc. And I held my promise. I said, look, let me sleep on it. It's been a long day. I'll respond tomorrow. And I did. Blame tag, you saw it, I believe. Never heard a word back from the blue check at all. Didn't even acknowledge. Just insane. Insane. Because my thing was, the term unskilled labor is sure, there's a definition for it economically, and that's great. But there's also perception, and there's also real world. And if you haven't been involved in all three of those things, you're not really quantified to have an opinion on it whatsoever. So yes, can go fuck themselves. So having said that, before I get into the next little tidbit here, Irish, do you have anything you'd like to bring up or talk about real quick?
No, because I know what's coming up, and I think that deserves more time.
I'm going to let you loose on that, by the way, Irish, because yeah, I'm the rest of the show might be Irish, and that's okay. That's okay. So Blame Tag had sent me a message about this individual, okay? And if there was an award for the dumbest fucking comments of the year, this may win it. So, Blame Tag, I sourced the video. Yes, it's the Conehead. I just want to say, I was telling Irish pre-stream, looking at his pictures, it's like if you're old enough to know what 90210 is, he is if you ordered Luke Perry off of wish.com. But anyway, so enjoy this, and we'll be right back. Here we go.
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided that they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40-50%, in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them, as opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue because that will cascade across the cost balance.
Oh boy. So could everybody hear that real quick? It's important. I need to know if you could.
I heard it just fine.
Okay. So I hate to do this to you guys. One more time with feeling, just so you can hear it one more time. You might be thinking that reel isn't real. Nope. You get to see it twice. Then we'll discuss.
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided that they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40-50%, in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them, as opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue because that will cascade across the cost balance.
Well, so let's look at the chat real quick. Tim Lenz. Oh, he could fuck right off. I think CEOs need to find out they need us not needing them. Correct. Blame Texas. I'm angry you made us listen to this wank stains bullshit twice. Hero says, kill that attitude by hurting the economy. What was he a CEO of? Oh, hold on. Mel says, I'm actually feeling speechless after hearing that, and that never happens. Yeah. That's something else. So let's delve a little further, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, if you were on Twitter or anywhere, when the avocado toast guy, he was telling millennials, if you want a house, stop buying avocado toast. Well, guess what? It's the same guy. And yeah, there's the Jackie Chan meme. What did I just fucking read? And this person says, I'll be real. I wish more CEOs talked this way. Labor would be far stronger and their lives far worse. Okay. So this is basically what he said. In my view, we need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. When there's been a systemic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them as opposed to the other way around, it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude. What the actual fuck, guys? So this guy has been getting crucified online. Check out some of these headlines. Property mogul says workers have become arrogant since COVID. Okay. From the mouths of capitalists, we need to see unemployment rise. A millionaire CEO is getting ripped apart for saying workers are paid too much and massive layoffs will curb their arrogance. Millionaire CEO leads call to kill attitude of workers empowered by COVID. And this one is so choice. Millionaire boss Tim Gurner is slammed where it, quote unquote, hurts the most on LinkedIn for calling Aussie workers arrogant as his obsession with staying young by biohacking is revealed. Wealthy capitalist accidentally makes a great argument for revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, this is some of the dumbest shit I think I've seen in a long time. So to the chat we go real quick. Hero says, because he seems to have sucked all the arrogance up for himself. TM Lynn says, a real estate and development group in Australia. I just looked it up. Correct. Hero says, dear Australia, fuck this guy. TM Lynn says, as a manager, I'm lucky to have a great team. I hope everyone who works for this guy walks out. Mel's like, Blaine Takes says, when I'm working as a guillotine head collector, I'll be glad to have that job. Yep. Put him in a ring with rabid kangaroos. Hero, correct. Philly says, I'd like to see this CEO do all the work. Honestly, he'd probably be in tears after an hour at the register. Mel says, idiots like this with shit for brains are the ones calling us unskilled. Correct. So a little background. I did some research on him. Evidently, his grandfather loaned him $32,000 and he worked 7 days a week to save $12,000 to do his first real estate investment, which was a gym that he turned around and sold for a profit. And here we are. He also is extremely very vain and is part of a biogenics company where he takes upwards of 60 pills a day to remain youthful forever. I guess he wants to remain youthful forever. And, like it's some kind of a CEO Highlander game where there can only be just one, but he keeps pissing people off like he is. He ain't gonna make it. It don't matter how many pills he takes. Hero says he'd be in tears the first dirty diaper in a cart. Yep. So having said that, Irish, go right ahead.
I don't know where to start. So, I mean, this guy is the poster child for why I'm here. He represents everything that is wrong with the attitude towards people, like that we're to be subservient and be thankful to our overlords that employ us, and that if we get out of line by daring to have a quality of life or ask for a better standard of living, that we're to be reminded that who's really got the power here, that we'll have to raise unemployment because these little guys are getting a little mouthy. Like, how dare we be so arrogant to reduce productivity after we realized in a global pandemic, when most of us were dropped like a hot potato if we weren't essential, that we might reflect on the fact that what we do for a living to put food on our tables.
Real quick, Irish, I hate to interrupt,
blah, 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 blah.
but I just thought about this. Maybe Adam needs to send him these.
True. Yeah. That is very true, actually.
Continue.
But look, he's just so out of touch. I didn't realize he was the avocado toast pioneer, right?
Oh, yes.
But while you mentioned that, I just did a quick Google there, right? Now this is a very quick Google, so these figures might not stack up exactly, but I'd say they're more or less right. So avocados in Australia, right? So it's in Australian dollars, it's $6.82 per pound. Okay. Now I don't know what the exchange rate is, but it's not all that expensive. Okay. So I don't think that anyone would measure their consumption of avocados by the fucking pound. Okay. But it's about, let's just call it $10 US, right? I don't know. The average rent per week in Australia, in Sydney, their largest city, is $560 a week.
A week?
Well, according to the first hit on Google here.
Holy
I'm open
shit.
to correction on that. Well, Sydney, Australia is notorious, okay, for their housing problem, despite the fact it's got plenty of land somehow. But look, it's the same in Canada. Massive land, for some reason no one can find a property. But look, think about that for a second, right? How many fucking avocados per week would 560 buy? This is the it's very appropriate actually that the biggest dickhead on the internet right now is someone that has made their money on the backs of raw pure exploitation. You waste and I waste a lot of money on shit we don't need. Right. But we all need to live somewhere. We can't avoid paying for a place to sleep at night. We can't avoid, say, purchasing food. Now, you have a choice, and it's much easier to make choices in food, because you can cut out certain things. You could change your diet, whatever else. But, you can't do that with a place like rent. So a guy that has made his money off the backs of hardworking people has the audacity. His attitude just reminds me of the people that will complain about, what are all these, women talking about? They want to vote, don't they know their place? This is the type of attitude. He is so out of touch. I don't know how. Surely it's unsafe for him to be walking around on the street because, I don't think the Australians are like that. There's a lost generation there as well. They're in big trouble when it comes to the youth, finding a place in the world because, they don't have the student debt that you guys have. But and they're actually, their economy is in a much better shape than probably most of the Western world. But you still have a lot of people that can't do the basic shit that some people were able to do, even in retail. Which is find a place to comfortably live, Right. And I did. Oh, this guy, he just represents everything that's wrong
real
with the
quick,
attitude.
From Financial Review, he's evidently 41. He is valued at $929 million in the 2022 Rich List. He has grand plans for his $150 million high-end health, wellness, and anti-aging brand, Saint Haven. So this dude is he's something else. And I also just received, what is this? He believes their housing crisis will be resolved when young Aussies inherit the incredible wealth from the baby boomers. Now hold the fuck up. So Hero just sent me this, and that is from 60 Minutes Australia. He believes our housing crisis will be resolved when young Aussies inherit the incredible wealth from the baby boomers. Okay, so you can't have it both ways. You cannot be like, we need layoffs and we need high unemployment and then expect the economy to survive and real estate to survive on nepotism. There's something really fucked up there. And Hero just posted in the chat, the more I Google him, the more I want to do acts of violence. And I am totally not that kind of vibe usually. So that's insane. So how can you be advocating? Because I saw a statistic that if he got his, just the smallest goal on unemployment, that would put 275,000 Australian workers out of work. 275,000 fucking people out of work.
Yeah, and as well as that, you know, that's real people with, you know, families and homes and everything else, right? And for what? So that someone's Excel sheet is marginally, you know, more aesthetically pleasing to them. Productivity is slightly higher. You know, this especially when it comes to landlords and property, I have fucking no sympathy because there's nothing productive or good. You know, almost every industry produces something that people, you know, can get utility out of. Like, but I mean, when it comes to, especially with your renting, like it's just, you don't always get a lot of utility. You know, you end up paying for somebody else's investment or their mortgage or whatever, and you don't have any say over how long you can stay there, what you can do with the property, and so on. I mean, man, yeah, like that. Like I'm not normally a violent person, but I mean, and I don't usually, you know, wish ill on people, but I'm sorry that guy was on a fucking submarine to the Titanic recently.
Well, like I'm sitting here reading this, and I had this because I wanted to go over this while we were talking about him. This is he says that he is one of the guinea pigs for the club's $250,000 biohacking anti-aging packages that include an annual full body MRI, brain scans, and monthly blood testing. He says, I get about 250 different tests of my bloods, which will say this month you're deficient in vitamin D, your testosterone is up or down. Then the physios, dietitians, doctors on call set my regimen. He says, I take about 50 or 60 tablets a day. It's always very specific to my latest results. Vain much, bitch? You know, think about this for a minute. He's got a $250,000 package. And we have people with terminal diseases who can't afford treatment that could save their lives. And he's in here talking about, we want you to live to 100, but not just live to 100, but live to 100 feeling amazing. That's the aim. We got people out there. We have parents who have children who have terminal illness who they'll never see them reach teenager. Fuck this dude.
Man, no, this guy sounds like he's... Look, if I read this... I swear I would be thinking, did Blame Tag write this shit?
Exactly.
You know, it's so out of fucking touch. This guy sounds like he should be visited by 3 fucking ghosts at Christmas. Like, are you fucking serious? How out of fucking touch are you? I want unemployment to rise because, you know, people need to learn their position in society, and they need to you know, what planet is this guy living on where like you think so little of people to think like that?
There's some great comments. Philly says, if he wants all these people out of work, who does he expect to buy his shit? Batman? Yeah. TM Lynn's hypochondriac, and Blame Tag nailed it. This is the thing we haven't connected the dots on. Good job, Blame Tag. Live to 100, but never retire. So he's in one article talking about we want to live to 100 and live to 100 to be great. Okay, are you still gonna work, fucker?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, his sort of mentality is, and the actual real world kind of repercussions because of how he runs his business and how, not necessarily retail, but a lot of the corporate world are almost sociopathic at how they approach, control. Like this guy's the definition of what a controllable expense is. What he wants, that we are only controllable expenses. We are to be, taught a lesson and realize we're getting out of line here, asking for, better pay for what we do for a living.
Well, I want to do something real quick. He seems vain enough that if somebody sent him this shit, he might watch it. I just get that vibe, right? So Tim Gurner, if you got the fucking, anti-aging balls to come sit down and have a chat, we'd love to fucking have you. Don't give me no shit about a time zone. We've had people on Australia before live too. You'll just be from the future the next day. And it seems like you're all about the fucking future. So, Mr. Live Forever, I'd love to have you sit down and talk about what your idea is about labor and what's unskilled and what isn't and why people are arrogant. Because I'm pretty sure during the pandemic, you were not in some fucking store somewhere risking your life because you were told you were essential. Oh, fuck no. You were probably sitting on your yacht in the fucking ocean like, oh, let the peasants handle it. It's like the military says. If they die, it's acceptable losses. So fuck you. If you got the balls, come on. Because I would imagine with your anti-aging shit, your balls should be pretty young. So come on. We'll have a good time. Rant over. Continue, Irish.
Well, look, I think it's obvious what my position is, but like he's also just incorrect. Like that, that the economy needs to be hurt, to get rid of this attitude that people have. I'm perfectly content that people are beginning to question, is this worth the money? In every occupation, I don't care what you do. Like, are you being, paid adequately for what you do? Obviously, I don't think that's the case in the majority of retail, but, it's applicable across the board. But like this idea that, that he did mention there that the governments of the world are trying to raise unemployment. Like, I don't think so. I think most of them are trying. They've got much bigger fucking problems, and it's a secondary consequence of what they do. Like retailers across the United States, at least, are crying out for workers, and they haven't they still won't face up to the fact that it's very easy, pay them better, and improve the conditions in the stores that they work. But that's just deemed too expensive. Again, a controllable expense. Well, it's easier to put up with a 95% fucking turnover rate.
He made the comment in his statement about people got arrogant after working through COVID. What the fuck did he do during COVID? It wasn't like you were selling fucking real estate. Where were you, fucker? Seriously.
Collecting rent.
Right, collecting rent. Making money off of other people. And you could talk about how, oh, I'm so brilliant. I became a landlord and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever. There's no effort in that. And I would bet, with you being so hung up on aging and whatnot, you were probably cowering in a corner somewhere, scared of any fucking piece of dust that came near you, while they were hardworking, needed the paycheck people in your home country that were deemed essential, who were fearing for their fucking lives to make sure that you were okay, precious. So...
yeah, he seems as crazy as Howard Hughes, except Howard Hughes actually produced things that people fucking, wanted, needed, and there was demand for. This guy's just exploiting a position. Like, I don't begrudge people that make, millionaires out of themselves.
Yeah.
But
keep your mouth shut.
I don't like the arrogance when it's right. Okay, too. Try it again. Start now. Try it again without your loan from whoever you got it from. Start at the bottom at 20 years of age now in Australia. You won't get on as easily. Like, yes, people with drive and ambition will tend to do better anyway because they just have that inherently in them. And he probably would maybe do better than more. But like, it's not going to be as easy when like a fucking apartment is going to cost like 20 years' salary at minimum wage or more.
Yeah, I mean, but the fact that he tries to say that, basic. I mean, let's call it what it is. He's looking at lower income workers. He's looking at retail. He's looking at grocery. He's not looking at like CEOs and stuff when he says this, saying that they're the arrogant ones when he's so fucking arrogant that, whatever. Blame tag. I need you to send out the orcas to find out where his yacht is. But I mean, it's so short-sighted. And honestly, worldwide right now, the real estate industry is not doing well. It sure as fuck ain't doing well here. He's made his wealth on a constant bubble that if that bubble bursts, he loses everything. But he wants to talk a bunch of shit. Now, I would love to know what kind of physical labor this fucker has ever done his entire life. I'd like to know if he's bagged anybody groceries. I'd like to know if he's stocked the shelf. I'm sure he would tell us all that he's above that, but you can't have it both ways. You can't be the arrogant one in the room and telling the people that risk their lives to serve you, they're the ones who are fucking arrogant when they're asking for better. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, and look, it's I know his perception will probably be that we're envious of his position or whatever else. Like, there's lots of self-made millionaires that I don't have a problem with, because even though household names that we all know, most of them don't come across with this level of arrogance. It's just there's no humility in this. It's just oh my God, it's just he's like a fucking character that Blame Tag or Charles Dickens would fucking make up. It's absolute lunacy.
You're right. I mean, because who in their right mind sits on a stage with a forehead the size of the Eiffel Tower saying we should make people unemployed? Who does that? Okay, we don't want you. Okay, here we are. All you fuckers are arrogant now in the workforce. You don't deserve a job. What kind of Mensa bullshit is that? Fucker wouldn't make it where I work. Ain't no way. I'd love to have him work side by side with me for one shift. Take 120 fucking pills. Don't care. You're going to be ready to die when you walk out the door. And I love what I do. So come on. And it's so hypocritical. And the fact that his concept is, I want to inflict pain on roughly 275,000 fellow countrymen for my own gain. You're right, Irish. It's amazing he's still walking around.
I don't know. I mean, he just seems like he's the type of lunatic. 120 pills a day. I mean, at least somebody is. I mean, this guy's supposed to be a great, investor. I mean, someone is selling him. He got fucking lucky, man. Beans,
look, he got fucking lucky. Yeah. What he's done isn't genius. He was at the right place, the right time, invested in the right thing at the right time. It's not rocket science. What's his college education? According to Hero, as she's been researching this while I've been online, he started going to the gym at 6 a.m. It's starting at age 19. What's your education? You got some money. You figured out how to flip shit. That's not, I could do that. Yeah, if somebody gave you $32,000 right now and you got to invest it in something that you could flip, I'm pretty sure you could fucking do it.
Well, exactly. And I'm not all that familiar with the Australian economy, but it is different. It didn't have the same trajectory as the rest of the Western world when things went to shit around 08. Now, but we had a huge amount of that in Ireland when things were, you could get easy money from the bank from the mid 90s to the maybe 2006, 7. But where all you had to do was have a job and you can go in there and get not unlimited money, but a stupid amount of money. And people were the reason it worked is that people were flipping. You had people in their mid-20s owning, tens of houses, and they just flip and flip and flip. And next thing you know, people were doing really well, and everyone get in on this because everyone's like, people that didn't even finish school were like on paper millionaires by the time they were before they were 30, and people who were like, busting their ass in offices that missed out on this were getting envious, and next thing you know, it was a free for all. And we got hit hard, man. We had the fucking IMF bail us out in Ireland. That's how fucking stupid we were with money. I mean, with this, our country broke, as in nothing left, nothing in the bank. Wages could not be paid, type of fucking broke, and it was all on speculation. So I'm hypersensitive to people that exploit this because I know what it fucking feels like. I was in the middle of it. I never had any loans, never took out any of that. But I was in the middle of that, and I fucking lost a job over it because everything went bust. We had shocking levels of unemployment overnight. And we never ever recover from that. Wages were stagnant from that day forward. And it's just and it's because of dickheads like him who exploit, and they don't produce anything. This is the thing with landlords. You don't produce shit.
No, he doesn't produce a fucking thing.
No. At least Steve Jobs gave us a fucking iPhone and Bill Gates gave us a PC. What the fuck did this guy do?
Exactly. And I'm looking at, boy, this has pissed people off. Ibrid says, I take 5 pills a day and it fucking sucks. He can have his cocktail. Blame Tag says, Steve, if he comes on here, you'll have to ban me from the chat. Hero says, same as Blame Tag for me. TM Lynn says,
man, have Blame Tag on.
Yeah, I think chat would have to be completely shut off for that one. And I'm with Mel. No one should be banned. If he's going to say stupid stuff, he should be able to take what he gets. Fuck yeah, Mel. Bring the heat. But I mean, I look at it and I look at what's going on, like real estate wise. Oh, and yeah, Mel, she used the famous one. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Come on, forehead. Anyway, hi. My name is Mr. Moorhead. Anyway, but we'd break it. Hero says, yeah, you'd break the chat, but boy, it would be good. I just look at it like the real estate market here in the United States. There's a lot of stories about, mortgage, lenders, employees in that sector, they're starting to get laid off because the real estate market here it's not as good as people want to think it is. It's great if you've got a lot of money to invest. It's not if you're an average person. All right. But this dude, I think if he was in the United States operating, he would already be destitute and be wanting to go back home. I don't think he'd make it here. Especially if he was like a real estate agent in the South. Some guy named Bubba would have taken him already out in the backwoods, and they'd find his remains in a moonshine distillery somewhere. But he, wow. Tim Lynn says he'd totally bail during the show if he saw the chat. We would hurt his feelings. That's all right, man. I've got my feelings hurt my entire fucking life. Do you, out of those 60 pills you take a day, do you have a non-crying pill? You'll be all right. Take the criticism doesn't bother me pill. You'll be good. So, oh boy, Irish, it's been a while since we got fired up. Honestly,
yeah, I've missed it. I've enjoyed the last couple of episodes though. Having Adam on last week was good, and this has given us a chance to kind of recalibrate what the purpose of of our rants. Like, yes, it's cathartic and it's good and everything else, but it serves as a platform to kind of put on record the thoughts of people working in the retail industry. For the further future, because now this guy's going to get railroaded from. I mean, who the hell is going to come to this guy's defense? There is no defense.
I haven't said. Hey, look, nonsense. If he's getting railed on LinkedIn, nobody's on his side because LinkedIn is like the buffet bar of bootlicking.
Oh, it is. It's like, yeah, but like, it's just I think everyone is. It's very rare that globally things unite. I mean, I don't know about Blame Tag. I've never seen Reddit united on anything. They couldn't agree on, they couldn't agree on the color of the sky on Reddit, but it's unanimous in every platform, Twitter, Reddit, LinkedIn, and anywhere else I found this guy. I've never seen it's so one-sided, and rightly so. The guy's talking out of his ass, and like, we're not playing Sim City here, like this isn't a game. Like, you're talking about you with a straight face, you said you want to double unemployment, and you said that translates to 250,000 Australians unemployed.
Yep.
For what? So we increase productivity to make your shares or investments or whatever marginally go up, and we learn a lesson, to stay in our lane. Don't be asking for, Jesus Christ, man. It's one of the headlines that you put up on the screen there a while ago. This is the shit revolutions are made of. Like, you be
damn
careful,
right.
Like this, you are teetering on the edge here. You this is the sort of the stuff that makes people snap, going, fuck this. This isn't worth it anymore.
Well, I just want to throw out there real quick, when the audio goes up, the title of the audio episode is, obviously it's going to have characters in it because I can't put it, but it's going to be Fuck Tim Gurner. That's going to be the name of the episode.
Fair enough. Well, but like, it's just, look, we it's nice to vent and kind of get sort of the stuff on off our chest and on the record and stuff like that. But seriously, like, this is one of the most out of touch individuals I've ever heard, and I am surprised at that he's able to say that with a straight face in front of a room full of people who presumably pay rent.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right. So having said that, we're at, man, this timed out perfect. We're at 1 hour and 19 seconds. That's awesome. So real quick, I'm going to kind of wrap some things up here. Look, as far as Warzone goes, tonight's a rant fest, and we're going to have these from time to time, but things are going to start be a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more pro, a little bit more discussion oriented. I'm going to get back on, trying to have guests and things like that. The therapy sessions aren't going away. That's going to be where we rant and raise hell. Now, if by some chance this dude, wants to come on, I doubt he's got the balls to do it, but maybe he will. Maybe he comes on and he speaks for 15 minutes and turns off his feed and says, fuck you, and walk off. But Tim Gurner, come on, deal with some Southern folk. Look up how to make sweet tea. Get you some sweet tea, put it in a jar with some ice, sit down, have a talk with us, and we'll see how soon we can make you cry. But having said that, going forward from this, it's going to be a little bit more serious and whatnot. And, Irish and I have talked about this. Irish, I haven't really mentioned this to you. I think we will get into this year, maybe going into next year, short form videos where you and I just hook up like one day and we talk about a topic and we make a 15-minute video and put it up or whatnot. But the therapy sessions are staying. And that's going to be the free for all where you can say whatever you need to say. If you have suggestions or whatnot, please let me know. If you have people that want to talk, please let me know. We'll do that as well. So before we go, Irish, any last words from you, sir?
I'd just like to ask Blame Tag if he could check his inbox on Reddit. That would be great. I sent him a message, or at least I hope I did. So that's just one thing. That's all.
Awesome. And make sure you go check out the serving times on Substack. Thank you, Blame Tag and Area, for turning me on to that. I will be delving into that here soon. There's just not enough time. And plus, I'm kind of lazy. I had a really rough day at work yesterday. I didn't do anything today. Sat around. I was sore all day long. It sucked. But having said that, everybody have a great evening. And go out there, eat some avocado toast, and we'll see you next time.